3, 2, 1. Hey y'all, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Kristin.
I'm Megan.
And we are the Hale Sisters. So on this week's episode of Family Ties, we're going to be talking about, you guys probably already read it in our description, but y'all, we moved back home. So we're going to talk about what that looks like. Us moving back in with our parents, and yeah, so I kind of let Megan kind of tell a story, and then we'll get into why we did it.
First of all, who would have thought?
Nah.
Sila. Yeah, so big plot twist. So the funny part is we recently got into a new apartment complex that we just moved into. We were there for like 3 months. I chose this. This is the first apartment I've ever gotten to choose.
In 5 years.
In 5 years of us living by ourselves. I was very meticulous on the place I wanted. I was like, one of the big things I wanted, y'all, was like light gray hardwood floors. And
so random.
I got it.
Wanted it.
But I wanted it really bad. I got it. It was very spacious. It was gorgeous. Loved it. 3 months. And then we was out of there. So let me tell you guys the story. So how this all occurred and happened is one day I came home and my mom and my sister, which you can tell that part of the story in a second, were at my house, and they just was acting weird. So anytime they didn't had a side conversation, they'd be just looking at you crazy, smiling all weird. It's just weird. So I'm like, okay, yes.
And whenever me and my mom are together, we think of the grandest ideas.
The most.
And we're like, let's get everybody on board. So that's basically what happened.
Pretty much. That's literally them all the time. So I get home and they are being weird or whatever. And I'm like, what is happening? And so my mom, I think, was like, so Megan, do you want to move home? I was like, what? She's like, do you want to move home? And I was like, no, I don't get it. I don't get what you're trying to get at. So she elaborates on how her and Kristin had this conversation about how her and my older brother have kind of always had the opportunity, should we say, in their early 20s to just kind of figure out themselves and see what it is that they wanted to do, in regards to jobs and things like that. They didn't have a lot of responsibility in terms of bills or rent being due at certain times and things like that. Whereas I moved out pretty much when I graduated high school. I moved out with Kristin, and so I've been living with her, paying some sort of rent for 5 years. So they just were explaining how the luxury wasn't there, in terms of how they got it. I didn't really have that opportunity and things like that. And so for me, I've always, everybody knows, if you know me, you know that I always have had the dream and desire to pursue music full time. That's always been my heart. That's always been my passion. I know that's part of my purpose. So it just all ties in. So anytime somebody asks me, what is it that you want to do if you could do anything, it has to do with music. And so my mom was like, we all know that that's what you wanted to do. I was working at this job and I loved the job that I was working at, but it had nothing to do with what I wanted to do with music. I was working in a doctor's office, so doesn't make sense at all, I know. So they just were my mom was talking to me about it, and how she was I feel like this is a good time for you to have the opportunity to, pursue music more full time and just give yourself that chance to really go for the dreams you always wanted. And so when she said it like that, I was like, you right, sis, shoot. I don't want the job. So I was okay, but what about Kristin?
What about
So I don't even know why, but I always am well, what about Kristin though? We are annoying.
You don't know why? Yes, we need to look out for each other.
Girl, please.
We both got ourselves in a situation.
She's talking about this. Mind you, she already said okay to it. So don't be talking about something
you
you
had
had
say okay. Though.
No, you didn't.
And I knew that it was it was for you. I benefit from it for sure, but
Kristin, when I asked, what about Kristin? What did you say? What was your response?
The only reason we're here.
What was your response?
It's because of you.
My mom said, Kristin already said she would be down. And I was like, what? And Chris and everybody knows, like in my family knows that like I take forever to make a decision. Like it takes me a minute, so I need time to like let it sink in. Like even though it's a great idea, my mom said it very good. Like she set it up very nicely, and I'm like, yeah, mom, everything you're saying is great, but I need some time. No, they was not here for that. So Chris and all like, yeah, I did. I agree. I thought that, you know, it would be a good idea and baby.
Okay, so we're gonna switch over to me.
Okay, you gonna give your background?
So basically what ended up happening, like Megan said, we had a conversation. Me and my mom were just talking, and ultimately one thing that I really want to do is like get out of debt, like pay off my car, pay off my student loans, all of that by 30. So that's one of my goals. And so Megan's goal obviously is to pursue music. So I'm just talking to my mom or whatever. Mainly it all started on Megan because Megan gets everything. And so my mom was like, yeah, I think it would be a great idea for Megan to move back home, blah, blah. Well, she didn't say great idea because nobody thought this was a great idea.
Yeah.
But she was just saying like, it makes sense. And I was like, yeah, I agree. However, comma, I'm not going to be out here with myself. So does that mean that I get to come too? Like we're a package deal, you know? And so basically, long story short, that's basically what ended up happening. And that's why I was on board, because if anybody is out here paying bills, being fake grown, like, it's not the business
it's
at
not
all.
Always the way to go.
You know, if I had told 20-year-old Kristin that, like, maybe decisions would have been different, but I was on my head to move out because I was just like, I just felt like, you know, I'm grown now, so like, let's go.
Truth be told, the only reason we have been out by ourselves so long is because of her. So honestly, she owed it to me.
Forget it. Okay, yeah, so basically that's what ended up happening, but ultimately, like, it's for our better. Like,
I mean, yeah, when we look at it, honestly, I know a lot of people are probably like, oh my gosh, like y'all been moved out
and
5 years and y'all gonna move back in with your parents. Like, don't get it twisted. Neither of us, in terms of the parents and the sisters, were all like 100% like, oh my gosh, this is the best idea. I think all of us were just kind of more like, this is something that's doable for us. And in terms of you guys setting yourselves up for a better life in the future, we're willing to make a sacrifice. I feel like that's where my parents came from, and vice versa. Like, I mean, it's a sacrifice in terms of we just got comfortable living by ourselves and not having to tell nobody what we doing, when we doing it, all that stuff. But it honestly hasn't been bad. I feel like our parents are understanding that it's very different than like us being in high school living with our parents and us being like in our 20s, like as adults living with our parents. Like, they are very respectful to us. We are very respectful to them in terms of like just what they ask of us. So it's honestly not been that bad. I know everybody's situation isn't like that, so we're not saying go back and ask your parents to move back in. That's not what we're saying at all. But I do encourage, I think what we're trying to say is, it's not always the best idea to try to do something by yourself just because you want to do it. Like, always think it through first and like make sure that you are truly set up for that, and like always look at the future at the forefront. Like, put the future at the forefront of like what it is you're trying to do, because I feel like that's something that we missed in terms of why we're here right now, because we were so caught up in I just want to be grown that now we like, I want to be grown, but I also can't pay and afford to live this lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I feel like what you're saying, like putting the future like in front of you, like right now, I think our issue as just like who we were and just as a society is we always think of like right now, like what is going to satisfy our needs right now, like what do I want to do right now. But a lot of times it's like you're gonna have to sacrifice at one point in time. And so for us, we rather sacrifice in our 20s while we're single, we have no kids, no husband, like no
responsibilities,
like exactly. And so like being able to have this opportunity to do that, and like Megan said, it could look so much different for everybody. And it could be something like as simple as I want to buy a new car, but instead I'm going to get a more affordable used car that I can pay off faster, that still gets me from point A to point B. And yeah, you're sacrificing right now, but you have other stuff that you have to figure out prior to wherever you're going in the future. So.
Yeah, I think it's just, we want to advise you or encourage you to truly like go after your dreams and go after your goals like we are, in terms of like me pursuing music really like how I've always wanted to for 23 years, honestly. That's what I've always wanted to do. And same with Kristin, like she wants to be in a better place financially to truly go after the dreams of her and desires of her heart. So I feel like that's like what we're trying to encourage you guys to do, is like don't hesitate to go after those things, but also like do it in a smart way. So like Kristin said, like if you want a nice car but you also have a lot of debt, like be smart about it. Get yourself out of debt first and then go after the luxuries of life. So I think that that's just like something that we encourage. We know 2020 has been a crazy year, so
but it's been so eye-opening.
It
like
truly
it shows,
has.
like so much stuff we've been worried about, like legit does not matter, like at all. Like for me, this probably has nothing to do with it, but I like have always been a person who has been so hard for me to say no, and like I'll just like do it out of obligation or whatever. But let me tell you, COVID-19, you have taught me how to say no. I'm saying no to everything because I don't want to do it. I don't have to. Like, and I feel like it's the same way. Like, anyway, just like opening our eyes to just.
It's just, to go after everything. And like, life is too short to keep always thinking that you'll have another time or another chance to like finally do it. And I think that's something that like slapped me in the face when my mom brought it to me. It's probably something that slapped Kristin in the face when her and my mom were having a conversation. But I think it's just imperative for you guys to like really start thinking and like looking at life that way, because it is our reality. As much as we want it to be a fantasy, like it is our reality. So that's all that we really have for y'all. Anywho, hopefully this is encouraging to you guys in one way or the other. Let us know. Obviously, y'all know we are family, so we love to hear you guys' stories and things like that. If there are things that you guys want to pursue in this year, or if there's different things and sacrifices that you guys have made, feel free to leave that in the comments. We'd love to interact and just kind of see what's your story, what are things that you guys have done, and just engage with us. All right, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Don't know what you're doing, but honestly, this is the year to forgive. So we forgive you, okay? But it's nice and red. You can't miss it. So go ahead and click it, all right? You can also hit the bell notification so you will be notified when we post any new videos, just in case you're like me and forget to check things. I understand. Awesome. We have an Instagram page together, so you can follow us at _Hale Sisters. You can follow my personal page. I am Megan Hale, and Kristin's.
I am Kristin Joy _.
And that pretty much wraps this up, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We look forward to catching up with you guys later.
Yes.
Bye.